Welcome to MarketMindLab. So, imagine you're walking into a movie theater. You're just there to enjoy a film, maybe grab a quick small snack to go with it. You look up at the menu. The small popcorn, $3. Seems pretty reasonable, right? But then, right next to it is this massive bucket-sized large, and it's $7. Now, you weren't even really that hungry when you walked in, yet somehow 10 minutes later you're walking into the theater cradling this giant $7 bucket. You kind of feel like you won a prize, like you somehow outsmarted the theater's pricing. But let's look at the reality of what just happened. You just spent more money than you originally planned. And guys, this is not an accident. It's a carefully designed psychological trap. In this explainer, we're uncovering the hidden architecture of consumer choice. Because brands, they know exactly how your brain works. They know you think you're being this perfectly rational buyer, carefully weighing all your costs. But the truth is, most of your decisions actually start with a feeling, an impulse that's triggered by the environment around you.
Which brings us to our core question today. Are your choices really yours? I mean, think about it. We're currently spending an average of 4.5 hours on our phones every single day. And for businesses, that is an absolute goldmine. Brands have literally never been closer to us. They basically live right in our pockets. Because of this constant 24/7 connection, they can perfectly engineer these digital and physical environments that exploit our psychology. You see, as humans, we are completely hardwired to hunt for value. It's just a basic evolutionary survival mechanism. But modern companies are using this exact instinct against us. They manipulate our assumptions to shape the success of their products and ultimately the size of their profits.
Section 1. The illusion of free will.
So how exactly do companies shape what we buy? Well, the answer actually traces all the way back to 1982. Researchers Huber, Payne, and Puto proved a fundamental flaw in human logic. They found that we literally cannot judge things in isolation. We always compare. This discovery led to what's formally known as the decoy effect. It's a subtle, subconscious nudge that steers your choice toward a target by introducing an inferior option. Here is the hidden psychology at play here. When you're presented with options, the brand has already picked the target product they want you to buy. But instead of just forcing you into it, they introduce a decoy. You walk away completely believing you made an independent choice, when in reality, the environment was completely engineered for you to pick the winner.
But think about this for a second. What if that deal that makes you so happy is actually a psychological trap? What if that feeling of winning is just a manufactured lie? Let's take a look at what happens when businesses apply this theory out in the real world.
Section 2. The power of anchoring.
To really understand why people make the decisions they do, we have to look at a classic business conflict from the 1990s. The retailer Williams-Sonoma had just launched this brand new home bread maker. But they ran into a massive problem almost immediately. Sales were completely dead. The price tag on that original machine was $275. So why was it failing so badly? I mean, it wasn't a poorly made machine. It turns out consumers simply had absolutely no reference point in their brains for what a bread maker should even cost. Is $275 cheap? Is it a luxury? Without a mental yardstick, customers were just paralyzed by uncertainty. And when buyers are uncertain, you know what happens? They simply don't buy. So, Williams-Sonoma's leadership made a highly counterintuitive strategic decision. They didn't lower the price of their failing product. Instead, they introduced a second, much larger, way more advanced bread maker, and they priced it at $429. And almost overnight, everything changed. By simply placing this $429 number on the shelf right next to the original one, it instantly acted as a mental anchor. Suddenly, the original $275 model didn't seem like this big unknown risk anymore. Compared to $429, it looked like a sensible, highly affordable bargain. That $275 model became a massive bestseller. This right here is the psychological bias of anchoring. The very first high price you see becomes your brain's baseline. And it doesn't just affect everyday shoppers, by the way. Research shows that even highly trained experts, we're talking judges, doctors, professional investors, they're all susceptible to these invisible anchors.
And yet, the psychological maze goes even deeper. Because sometimes, the anchor isn't just a higher price tag. Sometimes, it's an option that's designed to be completely, intentionally useless. And it plays directly into our deep-seated fear of loss.
Section 3. Engineering the decoy effect. Psychologist Dan Ariely made this brilliant discovery regarding human irrationality by looking at a totally bizarre pricing structure from a highly respected magazine, The Economist. Okay, so they offered 3 choices: a digital-only subscription for $59, a print-only subscription for $125, and a print and digital combo pack for the exact same price of $125. Logically, nobody ever chose the print-only option. It seemed completely useless, right? But Ariely ran an experiment where he actually removed that useless print decoy, and without it, most people suddenly just chose the cheapest $59 option. That print decoy actually had a vital job. Its whole purpose was to exploit our loss aversion. With the decoy sitting right there, customers picked the more expensive combo because they felt like they'd be losing out on free digital access if they didn't take it.
So we've seen how decoys and anchors can manipulate our sense of value, but there is a single, incredibly powerful word in the English language that completely overrides human logic. It essentially destroys regular decision-making entirely.
Section 4. The irrationality of zero.
In business psychology, there's this ultimate lever known as the zero price effect. To really understand how logic just completely breaks down under this effect, researchers set up a marketplace experiment. Initially, they offered a premium Lindt truffle for 14 cents and a standard Hershey's Kiss for 1 cent. Because the Lindt was such a massive bargain, the vast majority of people acted completely rationally and chose it. But then, researchers dropped the price of both by exactly 1 penny. The Lindt became 13 cents and the Hershey's Kiss became free. Now, mathematically, the 13-cent price gap was completely identical, but psychologically, a bomb had just gone off. Demand for the free Hershey's instantly quadrupled. You see, when the cost is zero, our brains perceive zero risk, and it completely short-circuits our ability to evaluate actual quality.
This brilliantly illustrates why e-commerce giants operate the exact way they do. I mean, think about the classic online offer. Spend $20 to save $5 on shipping. Amazon discovered pretty quickly that offering a simple shipping deduction just fails to move the needle. The shipping has to be free. When the word free is introduced, the irrationality of zero just completely takes over. Customers will gladly spend $20 extra on items they don't actually need just to save $5 on shipping. The psychological pull simply overwhelms the basic math. Now, these psychological levers are incredibly effective at driving short-term sales. But what actually happens when companies push them too far? When brands abuse these nudges, the market consequences are severe, and systemic failures begin to emerge.
Section 5. The dark side of discounts.
While these nudges might drive short-term revenue, a massive study of 3,000 consumers revealed a highly destructive cost. Trust completely collapses. If a brand discounts its products too often, consumers become highly suspicious. They start asking, wait, was the original price artificially inflated just to trick me? This leads directly to what's known as discount fatigue. Take a look at the retail market in India, for example, where buyers have been so conditioned by constant markdowns that they now simply wait for massive sales events. They flat out refuse to buy products at normal prices. Companies train their customers to expect a deal, and in doing so, they basically destroy their own baseline profit margins.
And honestly, there is a devastating human cost to this architecture as well. For a lot of consumers, the brand actually becomes a compulsion. The constant bombardment of these engineered deals fuels what psychologists call obsessive passion. It's driven entirely by FOMO, that fear of missing out. Younger consumers specifically feel this intense manufactured social pressure to just keep up with these fleeting deals. And the consequences? They're staggering. Nearly half of millennials have reported taking on personal debt just to stay trendy and participate in this cycle. The decision to buy is no longer a rational choice about utility. It becomes a compulsion built by careful, invisible architecture.
But here is the good news. The architecture surrounding us is complex, and it's deeply rooted in our biology, but it is not invincible. You don't have to be a passive participant in this psychological maze. It is time to learn the defensive playbook.
Section 6. Defending against the nudge. Now that we really understand how anchors, decoys, and the power of zero manipulate our decisions, we can outline some actionable intelligence. Here is a 4-step defensive playbook to protect your wallet. Step 1. Establish your preferences early. You need to know your own values before you ever even look at a price tag. If you're car shopping, decide right away if gas mileage is more important than a low upfront price. Step 2. Beware of groups of 3. Whether it's movie theater popcorn or laptop models, I guarantee you one of those options is almost certainly a decoy, engineered to push you upward. Step 3. Learn the rule of 100. Brands constantly manipulate how discounts are framed. For items under $100, they emphasize the percentage, like 20% off. But for items over $100, they'll show the dollar amount, like $50 off. They always pick the number that sounds larger to your gut instinct. And finally, step 4. Step 4 is honestly the most important lesson of all. Right before you check out, pause and ask yourself this single question. Would I buy this if it were full price? If the answer is no, then you aren't actually saving money by purchasing it. You're simply falling for the math. You are reacting to the carefully constructed tension of the anchor and the decoy rather than evaluating your actual genuine need for the product.
Look, we're all human, and we are all susceptible to these hardwired biases. Even the absolute most rational among us have walked out of a store with a giant bucket of popcorn we definitely didn't intend to buy. So, what was the last thing you bought simply because it was a good deal? Take a second, tell us in the comments below, and let's see how many of us have fallen for the exact same trick. Thank you for joining us on this explainer, and we will see you next time as we uncover more of the hidden psychology shaping our business world.